Hello and welcome to Tech This Week. In today's episode, we put the spotlight on the booming online gaming in India. This week saw PUBG developer Krafton pick up a stake in Nazara technology-backed esports platform Nodwin Gaming. Siddharth Kedia, the company's CEO, joins us on the show to talk about growth targets ahead and the state of esports market in India. Later in the show, my colleague Payal Ganguly also joins in to talk about the other big development this week, how the delivery of OTPs were delayed because of a new TRAI regulation. But first, let's take a look at the top headlines from this week. Ola to manufacture 10 million electric vehicles at Tamil Nadu factory. In a big push to EV adoption in the country, homegrown ride-hailing major Ola has decided to set up a factory in Tamil Nadu with a goal production capacity at 20% of the current global two-wheeler capacity. The central production facility on the site will be spread across 43 acres, equivalent to about 150 Olympic-sized swimming pools. The company has also released the first visuals of its electric scooter, which will be the first in the line of production at the factory. In the phase 1, the scooter will be ready for rollout with an initial annual capacity of 2 million around June 2021. Along with this, Ola also witnessed the departure of Pranay Jivrajka this week, who was the founding partner at the firm and CEO of Ola Foods. Arbitral tribunal rules in favor of Zostel in Oyo-Zostel deal and Oyo to challenge the ruling. Zostel has come out victorious in a 3-year-long battle with Oyo Hotels and Homes. The dispute was over the merger between Oyo and Zo Hostels, where the latter said it was denied its 7% shareholding in Auroville Stays Private Limited, which is the parent company of the Ritesh Agarwal-led Oyo. The ruling said that Zostel was entitled to claim relief and costs in the case, but acknowledged that definitive agreements of the deal weren't executed. Livspace expands to 4 new cities, opens offline experience centers. The online home interior and design platform has expanded its presence to Kolkata, Ahmedabad, Jaipur and Kochi. Bengaluru-based Livspace will set up multiple 1,500 square feet stores or experience centers at prime locations in these cities. The company is also looking to rapidly expand in India and the Asia-Pacific region. In the next 12 to 18 months, it plans to have a presence in 30 Indian cities, including Mysore, Lucknow, Mangaluru, and Surat. It also plans to grow its retail footprint through franchisee-based experience centers. Just like Livspace, BharatPe also expands services to 100 Indian cities and targets 300 by 2023. The New Delhi-based fintech startup has launched the first phase of the expansion, under which QR payment acceptance and loan services are being provided to merchant partners and small businesses in several Tier 2, 3, 4 cities and towns. The second phase will see the rollout of other fintech products for merchants and will begin over the coming few months. By 2023, BharatPe plans to expand to 300 cities. Next up, Daily Hunt parent buys Webbler to boost short video app Josh. News aggregating platform Daily Hunt's parent Verse Innovation has acquired Webbler for an undisclosed amount. Webbler is a community-focused photo and video sharing application. With Webbler, users can create groups called clubs and share photos and videos with them in over 100 categories. With features similar to that of Instagram, Webbler allows its users to utilize different filters, effects, stickers, GIFs, drawing tools, and fonts, along with the proprietary technology on video processing and editing. Just last month, Verse had acquired Bengaluru-based startup Cogniral Technologies, which offers an AI-based deep learning platform. Miles Software founder Milan Ganatra exits eBix, may start a new venture. In an exclusive news reported by Tech Circle, Milan Ganatra, founder of Mumbai-based Miles Software Solutions, which was acquired by eBix, exited the company and is likely to start up again with a fintech venture. Ganatra founded Miles Software in 1998 to provide on-demand wealth and asset management software to banks and asset managers. And this time around, his upcoming new venture will not operate in the same space. And in the deal-making activity this week, Icertis, an enterprise contract lifecycle manager, raised $80 million in a Series F round. With this deal, the company's valuation jumped to $2.8 billion. The round was led by existing investor B Capital Group. The company will use the capital to enhance technological infrastructure with a focus on accelerating artificial intelligence and blockchain development. Earlier this week, Gurugram-based logistics tech firm Ecom Express received additional funding of $20 million from existing investor CDC Group. This is CDC's second round of investment in the firm after its initial investment in December 2019. Quizzes, which gamifies quizzes and interactive lessons, has raised $12.5 million in a Series A round of funding led by 8 Road Ventures. The startup will use the capital to expand its team to support school and corporate customers, as well as accelerate international user growth. It will also focus on product development with a view to reducing teacher workload. Moving on to the big story of the week, on the back of increased penetration of smartphones and digital payments, the online gaming industry in India, according to a report by Prax Insights, is set to touch $2.2 billion by 2022. Encouraged by the potential growth opportunities, global and local investors have started to pour capital into homegrown gaming companies. In February, Sequoia Capital-backed fantasy gaming and esports platform Mobile Premier League raised $95 million in a Series D round of fundraising from Composite Capital and More Strategic Ventures, among several other investors. And this week, PUBG developer Krafton invested $22.4 million in Nazara Technology-backed esports platform Nodwin Gaming. Post the deal, Nazara Technologies, which had acquired a majority stake in Nodwin in 2018, will continue to own over 50% stake in the company. Speaking about the deal, Krafton CEO Shangan Kim said in a statement, "Taking the momentum from this partnership, we will explore additional investment opportunities in the region to uphold our commitment and dedication in cultivating the local video games, esports, entertainment, and tech industries." Nodwin CEO Siddharth Kedia joins us now to share details on the deal and the esports market. Thank you, Siddharth, for taking the time out and joining us today. So, if you would like to start with how exactly the company is planning to use the fresh capital.
Sure. So, the company does two things. One is the company develops the overall esports ecosystem in the country of India. And the company does a lot of live broadcast of the IPs that we have created over time, be it tournaments, be it leagues. So on the tournaments and league side, we plan the tournaments, leagues to be bigger, prize pools to be bigger, production qualities to be bigger. We plan on launching a few franchise leagues that would happen for the first time in the Indian subcontinent as far as esports is concerned. On the ecosystem side, we plan to double down on our investments on infrastructure and technology as far as esports is concerned, influencer management, content creation, both linear TV and digital platforms. And the plan that we have is not just for the country of India, but we will now replicate the same story across South Asian subcontinent, across Middle East, across Africa, because when it comes to gaming and esports, these are mobile first developing markets.
Right. And with Krafton coming on board, how do you think it's going to help Nodwin strategically?
See, strategically, Krafton belongs to Korea, and Korea has been the mecca of gaming. So when it comes to online population, when it comes to gaming, Korea has been that mecca of gaming. And as we expand into newer territories, newer geographies, we would lean on support from Krafton, draw on their relationships, draw on their prior experience, because they have games that pan across the world.
And in terms of growth targets, what is the company planning in coming 12 to 13 months?
See, in terms of, so I can tell you about the past. If you look at the past, we are one of the very few companies in the esports space around the world that are profitable. And if you look at our past numbers of the last 5 years, we have grown at a CAGR of more than 100%. So that's been our journey so far. And we don't see any reason why we should slow down, and we would continue our growth momentum in the future. As you know, Nazara, who's our parent, has filed its IPO. I won't be able to divulge any numbers, but I can tell you we will continue on our growth journey and our growth momentum.
Right. Also, Siddharth, talking about the general esports market in India, how do you see it shaping up, and what sort of role do you think Nodwin is going to play in that?
So good question. Again, I don't want to sound pompous when I say this, but Nodwin has essentially created the esports market in India. Every year when people would ask our founder and managing director Akshat Rathi, how big do you think esports will be? And his response used to be, esports in India will be as big as we make it to be. Because Nodwin has been a front runner, has been a market maker essentially in the Indian subcontinent. So in terms of if you just look at growth, some of the numbers that you look at, for example, if there were 6 esports titles in India last year in 2019, there were 9 in 2020, and they're expected to go to 15 plus in 2021. If you just look at the prize pools, if you look at cumulative all put together, if the prize pools were, because these are some of the indicators of the esports industry, if it was about a sum total of 8 crores in 2019, we expect it to grow to upwards of 25 crores in 2021. So these are some of the indicators. If you look at the esports ecosystem, how the ecosystem is growing, and given the market share that Nodwin has, we are essentially making this market in the country of India.
That was Siddharth Kedia of Nodwin Gaming. Moving on in the show, this week we saw OTP services getting delayed as TRAI enforced new SMS regulations. The new rules saw an almost 50% hike in missed or delayed OTP messages and other transactions. Payal Ganguly joins us from the Tech Circle newsroom to discuss the development in more detail. Hi Payal, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shweta, for having me.
And let's start with what really happened. Why weren't the OTPs coming through?
Well, the short of it, Shweta, is that the new SMS guidelines as part of Telecom Commercial Communication Customer Preference Regulations 2018 came into effect on Monday. The long of it is that most of the banks, private companies, and government organizations were caught unawares because they were meant to register their SMSs, which they send as promotions, with the distributed ledger technology provider for telecom service providers such as Jio, Airtel, Vodafone Idea, and BSNL before March 8th. But I think they forgot to do so. This blocked our OTPs and caused a lot of issues for people who were trying to transact online or order things online.
Right. And what exactly were these regulations anyway, which led to these delayed OTPs, Payal?
Well, the regulation required the organizations, which are known as principal organizations, such as banks and government organizations, as well as companies, to register their SMS content templates and associated sender IDs on a blockchain-based distributed ledger technology platform deployed by the telecom service providers. In theory, it would have cut out all of the spam messages we get usually. And also it kind of protects customers from common payment frauds related to digital payment systems, which have increased over the time. If you know how people kind of send you an OTP and then ask you for the OTP and then use that to commit payment frauds. However, what happened with the implementation, which happened on Monday, was that it threw all these companies, including banks and government organizations, into a tizzy. So this has forced the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India to defer the implementation by almost a week now.
Okay. So all this could have been avoided overall?
Well, Shweta, our colleague Shubham spoke to cyber researchers for the article which we published, and they said that there should have been ideally a trial run by the DLT operators of telcos with promotional messages in the beginning so that they kind of understood the lay of the ground. However, for now, we are just jumping headfirst into the pool. So,
all right. Okay, Payal, thank you so much for joining us on the show again. With that, it's a wrap on this episode of Tech This Week. Do stay tuned in and log on to techcircle.in for more interesting news and updates. Thank you very much for listening.